Okay, so I was interrupted the last two times I had to make a video, so I might have to cut it short because I have to leave and go somewhere. So, um, sorry. Um, you didn't see the interruptions, but they happened. Trust me. Um, so, um, I am. I'll give you a timeline. That Friday, I got the email. It's Friday, April the 3rd, 2009. It says, no, you're not going, you suck, in lesser words. And they were obviously nicer. Um, it basically says, you aren't good enough for the program, so therefore we reject you. Um, so, what made it even worse was, I think this is where I messed up on that, is I told the lady, I was like, look, I have a girlfriend over there, so don't be surprised if I want to go visit someone that isn't necessarily close by. And she's like, oh, I didn't know that. And then I get rejected. So um, that was like a double whammy because uh, in my mind I'm thinking it's because I told him about Anya. So that figures. Um, so then after that, the next day, I had prayed on that Friday. I was like, oh man, this totally sucks. Now I have no earthly way to get in touch with her at all. I mean, maybe if I had went over there, I would have had an easier time just asking people like, hey, do you know her? Where's she at? Et cetera, et cetera. Just footwork. Um, but now there was no chance I was going. So I had to try and see if I could find, maybe find a chance. Um, and what I did was I called the lady up, and she wasn't there for the weekend. So that Saturday morning, the next day, the April the 4th, I'm sitting there on Facebook, just pretty much totally depressed. Like, man, this just sucks. So I say, hey, maybe someone else from Chestnut Ridge knew her. Maybe someone else from Chestnut Ridge is friends with her. So I say, well, then it would make obvious logical sense for me to go on Chestnut Ridge's website and their Facebook. So I did, and I went on their website, and lo and behold, there was this guy. His name, I'm not going to tell you his name, um, but he was a professor in Germany in their equivalent of high school. They don't call it high school; they call it some long name, and I've forgotten it. Gymnasium. That's what they call it. And it's pretty much high school. Um, so I I get in touch with him, and I say, hey, look, I'm looking for this girl. I don't exactly know her last name. Could you help me out? So he sends me an email back, like Anya Schroeder, spells it out for me, gives me her email address. So I'm sitting here like, man, why did I even talk to this guy at Chestnut Ridge in the first place? Why didn't I just look on this page and figure it out? So I ended up calling myself stupid again for not figuring it out earlier. Um, And this had nothing to do with me being religious. I just thought I was stupid. And I had good reason to. I was acting pretty stupid for not looking that up. So, after that, I call a lady from CIE. I say, hey, look, I really need to get into this program. I'm sorry to keep bugging you, but I was just wondering if there's anyone sick or if someone bows out and doesn't want to go. Is there any chance at all that I can get a seat to go? Um, and she's like, no, all the seats are full. Sorry, goodbye. And she hangs up on me, which was totally nice, but she was, I'm being sarcastic. She was a jerk. She just hung up on me, and I was like, wow, this really sucks. Um, one step forward, two steps back. I know her name, and I know her email address, and now I have no way of getting to Germany. So, um, I mean, it costed anyone who's traveled to Europe or anywhere else knows that it costs a really good sum of money to get there and back safely. You could buy a nice used car for the amount of money that it would cost to go there and get back. Um, you could get a really nice apartment. Um, but anyway, um, so needless to say, my plans of going there as a foreign exchange student are pretty much shot down. So, later that summer, I'm sitting there thinking, what am I gonna say? How am I gonna email her? All of this stuff. So I email her, and I don't get anything back. And I email her again, and I don't get anything back. And for maybe a month, I email her, maybe like 4 times, because I didn't want to be like someone who's just bugging people, an email every day. That can get annoying. Kind of like Facebook notifications. If you get them emailed to you, you know exactly what I mean. They get annoying after a while. So I didn't do that. I just sent her maybe 4 in a month, and I don't get anything back. So I'm sitting there, and I start praying again. I'm like, God, man, this isn't working. How am I gonna get in touch with her? At this point, it was like early July, so uh, it was kind of like at this point I was like, how am I gonna get in touch with her within this next time? So I finally say, you know what? I'll give it one last shot. And I tell her my story and how much crap I've been through to even talk to her, and all of this stuff. Um, and she emails back and she's like, "Yeah, I read all your emails." And then I realized that she didn't know how to talk to me, so she didn't do it. And that's exactly what I've done with a lot of people in my life, because I don't know how to talk to people that well. I just don't. Um, so it was kind of like, yes, I'm finally talking to her. She understands, she knows that I like her, and she gets, I don't know, I guess really interested. She gets on this chat messenger thing, and we'll talk on that for maybe an hour and a half, and she'll get off because she has to go to bed because, in Germany it's like 6 hours ahead of where I live. So say it was lunchtime where I live, it would be 6 o'clock in the evening, and I had to go to school at the time. So then I'd get home at around 4. So needless to say, I couldn't talk to her very long. But anyway, I talked to her, and it was like it was like exactly a year, um, exactly a year from when I got that kind of intuition. You're gonna see her, talk to her, or meet her in a year. I didn't meet her, but I certainly talked to her. And it still kind of disappoints me that CIEE just kind of snubbed me off like that. I guess I'll never get over that. That was really mean. um, I wasn't trying to be a jerk or anything. I was just calling to see if I could, somehow find a way. Um, and it wasn't very nice of them or kind to do something like that. I'm sure a lot of people right now are saying, the world isn't kind. Get over it, you chump. And I'm sitting here saying, the world isn't kind, but wouldn't it be so much better if it was kind? I mean, let's face it, how much energy does it take to be nice to someone? Even though you might not feel like it, how much energy does it take? It actually it's more efficient than being mean to people than it is for you to be nice to people. Um, when you're nice to people, when you smile, when you're positive, it's easier than being mean or negative to people. And that's one thing that I see obviously wrong with this world. Edmund Burke talks about it on Taste, like it's easier for people to agree on something, and pretty much anyone will agree on the same thing, as all men have the same kind of emotions naturally, than it is for them to disagree. When they disagree, the people with a higher degree of education, whatever it is, or experience, will inevitably get the upper hand. But anyway, off of philosophy. So I contact her, and I get her birthday. She tells me her birthday and her address. So now I'm really happy. I have her address, I have her email, I have her name. I can find her now, at least. So now I I say, okay, it's her birthday. I'm gonna send her something really nice. Her favorite country was England, so I drew an entire map of England, Scotland, and North Ireland. Um, like I drew it in detail from hand on a giant poster board, maybe the size of no, that way, that door right there, maybe from here to the top. It was pretty big. Um, and I turn it over and I draw a picture of Parliament that she sent me, the parliamentary buildings, and I drew them in detail from hand. Um, and anyone who knows that anyone who's drawn anything knows that, drawing things like that aren't easy. Cathedrals, any kind of structure that was built a while ago that has all those really nice, fancy architectural features, um, it's not easy to copy or to draw or anything. It's very hard. So I draw it, send it to her, and then I send her a book for Christmas. And now here we are. It's January. But the amazing thing is, even though I was rejected from the CIEE program, I was accepted into another one, student to student, people to people student ambassadors. And it was at the same point I was like, in like October, September, like, how am I going to get over there? What am I going to do? I got to plan a trip. I got to save up all this money. And I was like freaking out. Well, October 9th, I got a job. I was going to go play paintball that day, and I go to play paintball, and one of my friends worked there, and he's like, "You want a job?" Yeah, sure, I'll have a job. Okay. Um, and I start working that day. I was ready to go play paintball. I had camouflage on, and here I am working around. Um, so that was pretty much a total coincidence in itself. If I hadn't been there at exactly the right time, I wouldn't have seen my best friend or my friend there. And if I hadn't seen my friend there, I wouldn't have known to, you know, walk with him because he had to walk there. It's like a driveway to the paintball place. And if I hadn't have known to walk there or asked to walk there with him, then I wouldn't have. And if I wouldn't have, then he would have never asked me if I'd wanted to work there. So it's kind of like a total coincidence in itself that I even saw him. Because, I had gotten out of my vehicle right as he went to open the gate on the driveway. So if I hadn't gotten out at that exact second, I wouldn't have seen him and I wouldn't have got the job. So it was like all a total coincidence. So then I get this letter and the student-to-student people, whatever it's called, the student ambassador program, and it says, look, we're going to have a trip to England, France, Germany, the Netherlands, Belgium, and Switzerland. And my eyes just kind of ding on Germany. And I'm like, well, this is really cool. This is awesome. So I go and I enroll in that program and I get accepted with like flying colors, I guess. Um, because it's not really like there's only 50 people in the country that can go. It's more like whoever signs up and can afford it can go. Um, so I had gotten a job, so I was like, oh yeah, now I can afford it. Um, and then after that, I was elected senior class president, and here I was a loser, and everyone else that ran for the office were way cooler than me, way smarter than me. They had way more political tact than I did, and I got it, and it was for me it was miraculous. I was like, wow, here I am a loser, and I'm the senior class president. Um, I really felt like Franklin Roosevelt because at that time he had polio, he couldn't even walk, and they elected him president. I felt the same way. I was like, man, I can't even talk to people right, and you elected me. Um, I ran because I figured I had nothing to lose. But anyway, I'll talk about it later. Ciao.